So do y'all remember the time that Kamala Harris had a birthday and she took her husband Doug and the kids and they went to the Ohio River? But before they went, they had the water level raised so that they could have a better rafting experience. Y'all remember that one? Yeah, me neither, because that never happened. And had it happened, the outrage from MAGA would still be thundering down on our heads today. They would have never let it go. But that's exactly what happened with JD Vance, and it's pretty much just crickets coming from MAGA. I don't hear anyone talking about this, but they don't care. They don't care how much that Trump or Vance uses their political office for their own personal gain. They don't give two shits how much it costs taxpayers. Trump and Vance in the world of MAGA can do anything, and they will find a way to explain it away or to justify it. And I always say that that's the biggest difference between the two sides. When our side is presented with evidence that's credible, we look into that evidence and we say, hey, there's the truth. And when they get faced with evidence, they say it's fake news. So I'm sure they'll probably say that this is another Democratic hoax or some shit. But this is a story here that I'm going to read to you from The Guardian. And before I do, again, I want to thank y'all so much for helping us to build this community. We've made it to 800,000, crossed over that mark, and now we're headed toward 1 million. So let's see if we can't get there before the end of the year. I was looking at my analytics, and still more than 50% of the people that listens to me every day still hasn't just went over there and hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, but if you like this kind of content and want to support the page, it would really help us out, and I do appreciate all of you. So let's bring this one up, and yeah, this is a real headline in 2025. I catch myself saying that a lot. But JD Vance's team had the water level of the Ohio River raised for his family's boating trip. Exclusive. Incident raises questions of exploitation of public services, but Secret Service says it was requested for safe navigation. Yeah, this is the real country boy here. This is the real Appalachian, by God. He can't just go rafting like everybody else. He's got to have them make sure it's going to be safe for his little pansy ass. So here we go. He's not from here. He ain't from here, and I really can't stand talking about this dude because he ain't from here, and fake hillbillies offend me. So here we go. JD Vance's team had the Army Corps of Engineers take the unusual step of changing the outflow of a lake in Ohio to accommodate a recent boating excursion on a family holiday, The Guardian has learned. The request from the Secret Service was made to support safe navigation of the U.S. Vice President's security detail for an August outing on the Little Miami River, according to a statement from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Vance was spotted in southwestern Ohio on August 2nd, his 41st birthday, according to the social media post that noted he had been canoeing on the river. One source with knowledge of the matter who communicated with The Guardian anonymously alleged that the outflow request for the Cedar Creek Lake was not just to support the Vice President's Secret Service detail, but to also create ideal kayaking conditions. The Guardian could not independently confirm the specific claim. The news raises question about whether Vance's office was potentially exploiting public infrastructure resources for his personal recreation at a time when the Trump administration has cut billions of dollars in foreign aid, scientific research, and government jobs as part of its efficiency drive. And folks, I'm going to be covering a story next about RFK Jr., cutting funding from vaccines. They love cutting everything and just slashing anything that could help somebody, but to just have a better birthday experience, they don't give two shits about you, and I just want to point that out. But The Guardian was first approached in Louisville for a comment about the change on Tuesday. Publicly available data on the U.S. Geological Survey shows a sudden increase in the river level and corresponding drop in the lake elevation during the early August days when Vance was vacationing. The request was forwarded to the USACE headquarters, and in a statement emailed to The Guardian on Wednesday, spokesperson Gene Pollock said that Louisville had received a request to temporarily increase outflows from the Cedar Creek Lake to support safe navigation of U.S. Secret Service personnel. In a statement, the Secret Service said it was closely coordinated with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the USACE to conduct planning to ensure motorized watercraft and emergency personnel could operate safely during a recent visit. It is said it could not discuss specifics of operational planning. It is not unprecedented for the USAC to modify outflows to accommodate public use, for example, for community river events and training of emergency responders. In one instance, Cedar Creek Lakes USAC Louisville District Facebook page announced a special release as requested by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources last year on August 22nd, but later publicly announced that the specific release had been canceled. No such public announcement was made before August 1st. According to the Guardian's anonymous source, with knowledge of the matter, special releases are generally not done for individuals or by an individual request. And the Guardian also sought information about whether the request was appropriately documented. The USAC regulation regarding requests for so-called deviations or any changes to normal practice require an approval and documentation that demonstrates why the deviation is justified. The process also ensures that risk associated with any deviation, including a flood risk or other environmental impact, is detailed. So, while there is no allegation that Vance's office did anything illegal, the ethics lawyer Richard Painter, who served in the George W. Bush administration, said it seemed hypocritical and pretty outrageous for Vance to be receiving these particular accommodations for a family holiday when the administration cuts have led to drastic cuts in the National Park Service. And folks, I can pretty much stop reading right there, and we can take it from there and just talk about how that these people love to go out there and they love to slash and cut anything that could help the working class people in this country. And the working class people in this country are the ones they try to appeal to the hardest. But yet, these two men, Trump and Vance, are two of the most pampered, unmanly men that ever was. You got all these alpha males out here whose, hero is Donald Trump. And it makes absolutely no sense to me how these people who has to constantly flex and remind you that they're a man, that's their hero, that's their go-to guy. And then their second go-to guy would probably be Joe Rogan. I don't think Vance would outdo him. And then Vance is their third little bitch with the eyeliner that they think is just the manly man. But he's a fake hillbilly who can't even go rafting. I mean, without doing it on your dime and without making sure that he has a cushy experience. I just wonder how many people in Appalachia who likes this dude and thinks that he's one of us just because he visited his mama ever so often. I wonder how many of those people could have just called ahead and said, hey, me and my family's going to be rafting. You care to change the water flow there? Could you raise that level a little bit for me so I'll have a better experience? I wonder how many Trump supporters that voted for this garbage would be able to just call them up and do that, because like the article said, it doesn't happen when individuals request it, but it does it for JD Vance. And it doesn't matter how hypocritical it makes you look. They don't care. They don't care how hypocritical it makes them look. And when we point it out, I could already hear the people, when I'm reporting on this stuff, folks, I could already hear the comeback in my head from MAGA. Well, what's wrong with that, man? He just they got to keep him safe, man. They got to keep it safe for the Secret Service, man. I just can't imagine if this was Kamala Harris going out for her birthday with Doug, and she did the same exact thing. I can't imagine that they would say, oh, yeah, that's just normal procedure. They would go on and rant about it and make mountains out of molehills. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to point out what an outrageous thing this really is and how that they're always, these people went off over Obama's tan suit. They went off over the fact that he asked for a little Dijon mustard. Obama couldn't fart in a bathtub that they didn't make it a national news story and talk about it for months. And Joe Biden could simply stutter, which he's done his entire life, and they would make it a news event. But this stuff here, just people finds a way to gloss over it and to act like that it's nothing. But I feel like that it is. What it is, and it always reminds me of this quote from George Carlin. And I don't remember which special it was, because I had several of them back in the day on DVD, and I would break them out and watch them all at once so they all kind of run together. But George Carlin said, it's a great big club, and you ain't in it. And when I read stories like that, that's exactly what goes through my head. It's a great big club and you ain't in it. So by the way, I want to point this out to all the Appalachians out there that's still struggling, that's still trying to feed their family and still trying to buy their groceries. And they're looking at that bill and they're going, God damn, this thing is expensive. How did it get this high? Were you able to call and have the water adjusted for your family? Were you able to have a cushy birthday? Did you get a break on your birthday? No, so why are you going out here voting for a fake hillbilly who's going to be coming up next? We're going to get the fake hillbilly 2.0, and everybody will run out and say, oh, yeah, he's one of us because he visited Mama. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm so tired of fake hillbillies. And I understand that people from other parts of the country may not understand where I'm coming from on a lot of this. Sometimes you may listen to me and go, Brando, I don't see why that's such a big deal to you. Well, when you grow up in the South, you grow up here knowing what the South once stood for. You grow up knowing that you learn as you go that you were on the wrong side of history. And you try to go out there and you try to do better and you try to move forward and you try to remove all of the stereotypes and all the stains that is on your heritage. And you go out there and you try to do your best and you try to learn and you try to educate yourself and you try to do better and you try to treat people with respect. And then it's always the fake ones that come down here. No offense to my northern listeners, but it's always the fake Yankees that come down here like Kid Rock and they pick up a flag that we threw in the garbage years ago and they wave it around and they go, I'm Hank's rebel, son. And they just cash in on all of the stereotypes that we've tried so hard to get out from under. The reason why that people from other parts of the world thinks we're a bunch of cousin fuckers is because of people like JD Vance and Kid Rock. And we've tried forever to get out from under that kind of stuff, but it's always that kind of person. And you know what pisses me off worse than that kind of person is the Appalachians that will look at Kid Rock and say, hell yeah, man. And then they'll throw that Tyler Childers record in the trash. It's hanging on the wall behind me. They'll throw it in the trash because he just told them, hey, why don't you try to look at it from another man's point of view? That's what drives me nuts about people like this. And this little pampered bitch comes down here and pretends like he's one of us, and then he can't even go rafting without, let's make it safe and cushy for me. Wouldn't want to mess up my mascara. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, I really appreciate y'all hanging with me. I'll try not to take a stroke, but it's really hard for me to talk about this stuff because at the end of the day, I truly do love the people I grew up around. And as bad as some of them gets on my nerves, and I just hate seeing our side exploited. I hate seeing people like us just made a mockery of and made a joke out of, because there's a whole lot of good people down here who don't buy into this bullshit. And right now we're outnumbered, and right now they have the megaphone, and they're a whole lot louder than us. But we got to keep speaking up, and we're going to keep speaking up. We're not going to stop just because they're louder. I still believe at the end of the day that MAGA is a loud minority. Now, some people would disagree with that and say, oh, Brando, it sure feels like they're the majority right now. Well, I think the majority of people are filled with a lot of doubt. And I think that stupid people are filled with a lot of confidence. And I think that's a big part of our problem. I think that if more smart people would be confident and speak up and speak out and stand up against insanity, we would have a much different outcome. It's when we stay home and when we give up and when we tap out is when we lose. And I really do believe that. And I believe that we could do better for everyone, and the country would be a much better place if we actually rewarded education and we rewarded smart people instead of glorifying idiots, instead of putting them in the highest office in the land. You know, that would be really good, because Donald Trump nor JD Vance is from here. Neither one of them is from here. They're not from down south. For the people they exploit, the people they use to their advantage for their political gain, they wouldn't piss on them if they was dying. They really wouldn't. Donald Trump, said the phrase about, oh, I brought back groceries. It's an old-fashioned word, groceries. I brought the word back. It's kind of like things you put in a bag. You know why he said it that way? Because he never had to sit at the table at night and figure out how to pay for the groceries. He always just had somebody prepare the meal and set it in front of his spoiled rich ass. That's all he ever had. So no, he doesn't know what the word groceries means, and I guess it does sound kind of old-fashioned to him. But the people that he exploited and the people that he manipulated and the people that he brainwashed, they're still trying to figure out how to pay their groceries.